It is better late than never. It is another live stream of the Pirate National Committee. It is your host, Jolly Mitch of the Chicagoland Nine, the Illinois Pirate Party, captain of the United States Pirate Party, and a friend of the show. Based on who I see here today, I will go in the order in which I see him. And the first person I see is Drew.
Drew Bingaman, Pennsylvania Pirates.
Thank you. Mars. The suspense is killing me. However, Mars from Ohio, if when you get the chance to respond or reply, it'll be much appreciated. Uh,
Hello? Oh,
yes.
okay. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. All right. Mars, Ohio, and also Webmaster.
Fantastic. Thank you. Frank.
Frank Flores, Texas Treasurer.
Thank you kindly. David.
I'm the backup representative for Florida Pirate Party.
Thank you. James.
Hello, I'm James from the North Carolina Pirate Party.
Thank you. Wanda.
Wanda Ward, Florida Pirate Party, and U.S. Pirate Party Lookout.
Thank you. Ty.
Hello, United States Pirate Party Vice Captain in West Virginia.
Thank you. Eli.
Eli McGee, Massachusetts representative.
Thank you. And last but not least, Zephyr.
Zachary, representative for Colorado.
Thank you. Let the record show that we have Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Texas, Ohio, Florida as voting members tonight. And Wanda is the voting member on behalf of Florida. And Texas, I think I said Texas. If not, I apologize, Frank. But otherwise, we do have a mostly full crew here. There's really just a few things I want to discuss. Number one, just say that I came back from Arizona this week. I was in Tucson helping Blaze collect signatures. For those of you watching at home, Blaze must be. I just saw Blaze's name. He may be popping in. That said, though, Zach collecting signatures. Very important to any campaign. So any of you that look to run a campaign in the future, let it be known that signature collecting, top priority. Make it your top priority for any candidate. That said, I thought it went well enough, and I think that all things considered, it was a good experience for everyone involved. And anyone who runs for office in the future, just know that I've done that for Joseph Honorowski. I've done that for Blaze Henry, and I'm happy to do it for you too. So if you in the future are looking for, a hand in running for office, you need an extra body on the ground to help collect signatures in a certain area, maybe a district you haven't hit yet or a section of your district you haven't hit yet, I'm there for you. I know obviously, I have a few people in Illinois, myself included, who plan on running in the future for certain positions. And one of the things to consider, again, is just collecting signatures. Other than that, I don't believe I have any major updates. Two things I want to discuss during today's meeting, during business, would be Project No Cap, which is Mr. Beats uncapping the house idea. I want to discuss properly endorsing it, not adding it to the platform or anything. Just have a conversation about, putting a rubber stamp of approval on his idea, which is essentially emailing his congressman or your congressman every day, asking them to uncap the House of Representatives, which is currently capped at 495, I believe. Which, when it comes to opening up the government, I think that's a brilliant, easy, way to do it. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Second one is we should at least discuss a theme. I know we've been kind of discussing it, but the Pirate Party conference is around the corner. Anyone that is planning on coming, hotels are booking up fast and they are expensive, so be weary of that. And right now, I think the conference is slated to simply be boats and have fun, and I don't think that's an actual theme. I think that's a filler. So, anyone who has ideas, we'll be happy to discuss them during today's meeting. But otherwise, those are the only pieces of business I wanted us to go over tonight. I ask, is there any reports from committees, states, candidates, or otherwise? Drew, go ahead.
Well, just to put a kind of pin in all of this, I'm going to reiterate what you just said. Get your signatures. Get out there. My campaign ended up not working out because of, well, weather was also a major factor here in Pennsylvania. Yeah, just get out there and get your signatures. And yeah, my campaign went down swinging because we just did not have what we needed to make the ballot. And the deadline is Tuesday, but it wasn't going to work out. So it really sucks. But yeah, just those signatures are the most important thing, and you really can't sleep on that. And so my campaign is over, and I'm regrouping here, and we'll see what happens here in Pennsylvania moving forward. But that's my official campaign update to the YouTube audience out there. Just do it. Run for office. Even if you don't make it to the ballot, you're going to learn stuff. You're going to meet people. You're going to, canvassing was great. Meeting people across the state was great. It just really comes down to certain unfortunate circumstances really worked against me. And so, it's yeah, get out there, get those signatures. I cannot emphasize that enough. So that's all I got. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Drew. And not only collect your signatures, whatever requirement they tell you to collect about 3 times as many. So if they're telling you, oh, all you need is 500 signatures, go out and collect 1,500. Because they will strike out signatures and say, sorry, they didn't sign it properly, or sorry, they wrote Bob instead of Robert, or they didn't write their zip code and they needed to. Whatever reason they give you is a reason they are looking for, and they're looking to strike out as many signatures as they can. So when it comes to signatures, make sure you knock that out. In fact, I'll tell you just a brief tangent. I had a page of signatures that I gave to Blaze. I was reading it over before I handed it to him, and I don't think a single one of them was going to pass the test. But I'm not going to know that until they do or don't. But if they're not passing my eye test, I can only imagine they're not going to pass the test of someone whose job it is to try to strike them out. So that said, make that your first priority when you're running your campaign, whether that's state house or whether that's park district commissioner. Wink. Anyways, that is it on this part. Thank you, Drew. Is there anything else we had from anything? Do we have any committee meetings? Hearing none. All right. In that case, I think we can just move on. I'll say, was there any old business before we jump into the business that I had brought forward? Is there anything that we needed to cover from last time? Wanda, did you have anything?
I don't remember.
Right on.
I believe a few meetings ago there was something that got pushed, but I can't remember what it was.
I think it was the conference, personally, but don't hold me to that. I'm sure there's plenty of things that we've tabled that we've never gotten back to. And that's piled up over decades. It's no shot at us personally. But that said, 2 decades. The Pirate Party has been around for 2 decades. June 6th and 7th of 2026, we will be celebrating the Pirate National Conference in Boston, Massachusetts. Uh, be sure to get a spot if you try to come in. I know I thought about it after the fact, and it sucks. Uh, and actually, it was supposed to be June 6th because that was the 20-year anniversary. And it just so happens that we maybe needed the extra day to count everything and put the pin in it. So we made it a 2-day conference. So now it's June 6th and June 7th. James, that will be the last time we discuss the fact that it's 6-7. I don't want to, that's it. That said, though, it's unintentional, and I apologize ahead of time that it's even a thing. Let's just, we could just jump into it. I do want to apologize. I am a little low energy because I took an Amtrak home, or I took an Amtrak at least part of the way home. So I'm not really up on my sleep right now. So I'm not the most energetic. But I just wanted to jump into either the no cap or the discussions for the theme. Uh, I think no cap I could probably talk about easiest just because it's the one I just feel like it's a simple discussion. Project No Cap has just been Mr. Beat on YouTube, has been emailing his House Representative Congressman every day, Tracy Mann of Kansas, and just asking Tracy Mann to introduce legislation to uncap the House. Now, Mr. Beat, maybe wrongfully on my part, but I trust the guy in terms of like doing his due diligence, and he makes it seem like uncapping the House is as easy as either introducing a bill to say it's uncapped or repealing the bill that capped it to begin with. Which I mean, Mr. Civics, I just have to assume he's probably right on that one. If he is, the project seems noble enough for a few reasons. My big reason would be if we uncap the House, districts are no longer districts representing however many. Isn't the number something like 700,000 people per district? Uh, Instead, it'd be a significantly lower number, which would do two things. Number one, smaller districts means smaller signature requirements, which we just spent the whole beginning of this meeting talking about how important it is to collect signatures. Well, when you uncap the House, suddenly the amount of people in your district is smaller, which means the amount of signatures that you have to collect in your district is smaller. Number two, I would like to think that it's going to, yeah, that is 761,169 per district, which is an insane number when you consider that this is the House of Representatives. These are supposed to be the people who represent you that you're sending to DC to fight on your behalf. And we don't have that. We have 195 or 495 uh, jagoffs, for lack of a better term, who take corporate dollar and listen to them instead of you. Drew, go ahead.
Just something to add to that. If you're in a more rural part of the country, 761,000 people in your congressional district are spread out so far. Like, it doesn't even matter if the districts were fair; they're still terrible, right? Because what my district, the congressional district that I'm in, goes from me and a little bit south of me, well, actually quite a bit south of me, probably 50 miles south of me, all the way to the New York border, and I'm kind of near the middle, north to south. So that's an enormous amount of area to cover. Not even talking about the logistics of just getting on the ballot, but the amount of people, the needs of my area in the Susquehanna Valley are not completely, but very much different federally from the needs of those people in the northern tier. And it just doesn't, unless you're in a large metropolitan area, those districts are just insanely large. So I agree with you that honestly they should have never been capped to begin with. But yeah, 761,000 that's a lot of people. That's bigger than most major cities. Now, a handful of cities across the country, you know, set aside. Most cities in the United States are not even that big. So you're talking about that's what your congressional representative is has to deal with. It's I think that's crazy. So that's just my opinion.
And then you consider you got some states that have one singular district for the entire state. So like there's one representative representing the whole entirety of Alaska or the entirety of Wyoming. Now I know no one lives in Wyoming, but someone in Casper, Wyoming and someone that lives in a different city in Wyoming have nothing in common with each other. And because these cities are so spread apart that the only thing they have in common is that they know they live in Wyoming. It's crazy. It's undemocratic in a the branch of Congress that's supposed to be the most democratic and most representative. Second of all, we're up against big money, big money. They got big money. That you talk about an institution with some cash on hand. It's the Democratic and Republican party institutions. If we uncap the House and now there's more districts, they're not going to be able to funnel so much money into, oh well, this is a toss-up district here. You may have some safe red, safe blue still, like you're saying, like it always traditionally has been, but you'd like to think the money is going to be spread so thin that it becomes at least a little more fair at the local level, that there's no possible way that they can donate the millions of dollars per candidate per race that they do. Like I know in Illinois 9, you have that Cad I'm not even gonna pretend I know how to pronounce her last name, but she's running in Illinois, and they're funneling a shit ton of money towards not having her in. Uh, which it's crazy just because they need their own people in. They want to have their chosen people in, and they don't want to have outsiders in the Democratic Party. Evidently, they will spend a lot of money to keep that from happening. But Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the biggest obstacles will be the entrenched political power and the monetary interests that back them currently, that will be opposing any effort to increase democracy or even the appearance of democracy. So it's very unlikely, and it's very difficult to get anything that is actually helpful to people done in this godforsaken world.
No doubt. And there's never been a case where we demanded that the old powers give up their powers willingly, and they said, "All right, because you asked." So understand that, of course, they're going to require us to claw and scratch and fight dirty while they demand that we fight fair while they fight dirty. This is nothing that they're ever going to unhand easily. Uh, high school always featured, friend groups and the worst cliques you've ever known. Uh, Politics is a continuation of high school to me, where you do see the same cliques and like, no, my group is, better than your group. And and when it happens within a party like the Democrats or the like, even historically with the Republicans, like you think about like I'm not about to start naming 19th century Republican factions to make a point. That's beside the point. However, factionalism and just this whole like the old powers are never going to let go, and the old powers will fight amongst themselves in order to gain an upper hand. So of course the one thing that's going to unify them is, well, hey, I don't like you and you don't like me, but better the devil you know than the devil you don't, and they will go against you in that manner. uh Also, and it's rare, but the Democrats and Republicans will team up to take down an outsider too. And that has happened. That will happen in the future. No matter how anti-Trump the Democrats claim to be, they will one day return to the Republicans and say, yeah, you guys were crazy under that guy, but that guy was a one-off. Because that's what they want you to believe, that that guy was a one-off, that we can continue to work the Republicans. They don't want the Republicans gone because they know that anything that replaces the Republicans will make the Democratic Party show to be the spineless cowards that they've always been. Like they do not want to win. They make more money when they are playing from behind. They Pied Piper method Trump into office, and they Pied Piper method every opponent that my governor has faced, namely Darren Bailey. Was the most radical, so to speak, Republican candidate for Illinois, and they funneled a bunch of attack ads towards him in order for his name to be the one that everyone recognizes. So it would be an easy path for victory for JB Pritzker. That was the thought process. And it worked for them. It didn't work for Hillary. And when it doesn't work, you're left with an extremely radical candidate that when you were trying to tell people, well, look how crazy they are. You don't want that. Look at how safe and sensible we are. But people are tired of the status quo. You're not giving them a winning option. And let me make one thing clear. If your whole campaign nowadays is, can't we just go back to the way things used to be? Remember 2015? Remember Obama? You guys have become the conservatives. There is no progressive party in this country anymore. I've heard people say that for years now, but I think it has become as evident as ever. There is no progressive. We have a Christian nationalist party currently ran by the craziest evangelicals you know, and we have a conservative Democratic Party. They are liberal conservatives. You can be a liberal and a conservative, and I need to make that point clear. That liberal does not automatically mean left, which is something the Republicans have tried making a thing forever, and that's just not true. Drew, go ahead.
Wait. Corporate Dems. The party is corporate Dems. That's the problem. They've got control of it, and they're not giving it up. And I mean, the thought process is maybe the Democratic Party needs like a Tea Party rebellion that the Republican Party had, that was sort of a bit of their renaissance that got them back rolling again, with the people, with regular people. And I think that's the thing. The Democratic Party right now, both the Republican and Democratic Party, are corporate shills. They're feeding everything to the billionaires. The Democrats say they give a shit about people. They don't. There's people in the party that do, but not the party in whole. The people that are in charge of the party, they don't give a shit. And it leaves the working class, it leaves regular people just out in the fucking cold, and it's terrible. So, it isn't even just about liberal and conservative. It's honestly, it's whether you support regular working class people, or I mean, even regular middle class people. Like, if you're not with the 1%, you should be with everybody else. And that's not what you said. The money. It's all about the money. And they, all of these people that are in office, they're, the House is basically constantly running for office, and the amount of money that's spent on advertising and in these races is insane. I am very interested to hear if anybody has some real ideas how the fuck we get out of this.
Zach, before I get to you, I just want to say, if any of you got to read today's Through the Spyglass series entry, it was specifically about Fannie Lou Hamer. Now, if that's a name you don't recognize, Fannie Lou Hamer, that is because that's a name that has been buried in modern day. Typically, when we talk about civil rights, it's the Jesse Jacksons and the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's. But Fannie Lou Hamer was a black woman from Mississippi, rather. I'm sorry. The youngest of 20 children, born into a family that was sharecropping, which is the successor to slavery, the immediate successor to the slave system, the chattel slavery that they had in the South. The party of civil rights, quote unquote, was the Democratic Party, and they were fighting for civil rights at the national level. However, in the state of Mississippi, it was the Southern Democrats who were stifling every attempt for black voters to be enfranchised, and they were keeping people like Fanny down and refusing to give her voice. At one point, she was fired from her job for even trying to register to vote. When she finally passed her literacy test, they shot at her in a drive-by. You're talking about a woman who had everything in the kitchen sink thrown at her, and nevertheless she persisted. If you've ever seen Mississippi Burning, the shootings that it was inspired by happened about uh, in June of '64, and that same month they had started a rally where they were trying to get as many black people in Mississippi registered to vote, because black voter registration everywhere in the South was like somewhere in like the 30s. Mississippi was like 5%. They were really keep making it so the black voter was not enfranchised. Well, when they launched that campaign, you had some kids from New York who came down to help, and they and a kid from Mississippi all got shot, and they found their bodies 3 weeks before the '64 Democratic National Convention. So, Fannie Lou May or Jesus, I'm sorry, Fannie Lou Hamer, can't say that one 5 times fast, shows up with the Mississippi Democratic Freedom Democratic Party, you know, puts everything on the plate, explains their story. They give Fannie the chance to speak at the convention. She starts to speak and starts sharing her story, tells you everything I've told you, and they get so uncomfortable with what they're hearing that President Lyndon Baines Johnson calls an impromptu press conference just so cameras will be cut away from her speech and they can talk about whatever he's talking about. Because the Party of Civil Rights found the truth about what was happening in Mississippi very inconvenient to their national narrative. That they had Democrats in their own party who were stopping the civil rights that they claimed to fight so strongly for. And then when they had someone who spoke up on that issue, they decided to side with the people who were stifling those efforts because they needed them as allies, as geopolitical allies. The white representatives of Mississippi and Alabama ended up walking out that convention anyways. So they silenced Hamer for nothing because everyone they were trying to appease walked out on them. So anytime you think of the Democratic Party as, man, when did they get so rotten? I want you to know they've been rotten. They had massive protests in '68, and that was in no small part to the escalation in Vietnam. But understand that if it was just the escalation in Vietnam, it would have been just straight up war protests. And that's how they try to make it out to seem. But the Democratic Party has a bad history of just not listening to their youthful voter and moving forward with whatever agenda they see fit. It is the corporate Democratic Party uh, is always one of, let's just get business done as usual and let's compromise. And I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that every time they've sold us hope, change, and progress, that it has meant very little in the grand scheme. That they will ultimately go off their agenda and their goal and their way of governance. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Earlier you were asking if we can come up with ways to end this kind of political machine. I had raised my hand right after you said that I did not have an idea for how to end the political machine. But no, but I think everything you just said, yeah, we kind of went through a few good decades where liberal conservative was kind of the party line for both parties, and now that's changed because now we're in the strange Christian nationalist phase. But I think in terms of the machinery, like everything we saw last presidential election was hard to. I don't even think there was theoretically a platform to either party. I think it was purely machinery, and we saw that when Trump got in office and shuffled his cabinet 100 times and did things we've never seen a president do before. What was he actually? We also saw when the Harris campaign, and really just like you described, whenever people would bring up Palestine or what is your platform, suddenly the cameras would go in another direction. And we just never saw her react to those things. Whenever someone would ask, Like, what is your platform? Or like, what about this issue that is a little bit more left of center than you've heard of? I mean, there really is no platform to either of these parties, and they really are just machinery. They don't represent anyone's opinions.
None. No. And first of all, I'm gonna reset the live stream. I know we haven't been on for an hour, but it says an hour, so I'm just gonna reset just in case. And that said, and I think I said this one of the last meetings, but the thing with the Democrats, it's one of the I feel like sometimes I find myself more angry at the Democrats for what's happening than the Republicans who are actually executing these horrific, plans. And sometimes I'm like, well, am I being like a dirtbag leftist? Like, am I just always going to blame the Democrats? Is that what it is? But in reality, it's if you have cockroaches and you hire someone that says, I will get rid of these cockroaches and we will clean up this problem. And then as soon as they get in, they're playing with the cockroaches and saying, well, hang on, let me work with them. Of course, I'm going to be pissed at the exterminator and not at the cockroaches because I hired you to do a very specific job. And instead, you're kowtowing and saying, well, hang on, let's see if we can work with them because they're still they're still in the party with us. They're still the major powers. We, you know, they've made it so they are the only ones in charge. It's such a cliche at this point, but when George Carlin said it's a big club and you ain't in it, I mean, have truer words ever been spoken? Has anyone put it so succinctly as George Carlin did? It's it's one of those things. They have a monopoly on not being Republican. End of the day, yeah, isn't that just exactly it? So, uncapping the House. All that to say, the Democrats and Republicans are rotten, and one of the ways we can fight that power is demanding them uncap the House. Because frankly, I think that's good for democracy. I think it's good for every U.S. citizen. I think it's good for getting rid of big money in politics. And I think it makes the House of Representatives more representative. Uh, one of the things I said before is that Cat A, who's running in Illinois 9, a lot of people like her. I don't dislike her campaign. She's running a fine campaign, and she has sound beliefs, and she'd be a more progressive candidate than Daniel Biss. But my issue with her is that she's a Texas carpetbagger, and she's from Texas. She's not from Illinois 9. She didn't grow up in Illinois 9. She doesn't know the actual needs and the wants and desires and the what is wrong with the people of Illinois 9. These aren't her neighbors. And I think one of the things Uncapping the House would address potentially would be carpetbagging, because how can it possibly be advantageous to when you have all these districts versus trying to purposely go in and or maybe it would lessen carpetbagging. I don't know for sure. There's something about carpetbagging and suddenly you're representing over 700,000 people you don't know and you don't actually care about. You're just trying to get in your own agenda, no matter how much I agree with your agenda. That's all I'm trying to get at. I'm no fan of carpetbagging, and I think that this would at least alleviate some of that carpetbagging issues that I have. Those are just some of my pitches for uncapping the House. Uh, Ultimately, endorsing it doesn't mean adding it to the platform. It's just as simple as saying, like, hey, you should email your congressman every day and tell them you want the House uncapped. Uh, and if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I couldn't imagine anyone besides Mr. Bede is so committed to emailing their congressman every day about this. But that's the thing, is let no man think he has no influence. If one person's willing to do it, one person's willing to do it. And sometimes it just takes the one. So that's my spiel. That's my pitch. Uh, Thank you, Ty. Uh, so I just asked the crowd, is there any opinions or any stance or any motion on uncapping the House or the idea of uncapping the House?
It's just the most reasonable and constitutional way to start trying to make things more democratic in any semblance of what it should be.
I agree, Frank, and I like how you said it. We're a way to start making it more democratic. We're not pitching this as an answer. This just seems like a quick fix to make us more democratic. Something that doesn't take constitutional change, something that's a quick bill. So it's a good point, Frank. Thank you. Anything else on this issue? I'm hearing none. Well, let me ask outright: is there any blanket disagreement with uncapping the house? Is there anyone hearing this and saying to themselves, "No, I don't like this idea. It's not jiving well with me"? Is there anything about this that's not sitting right with you?
I think that the only significant opposition or meaningful opposition is the practicality of, expanding the physical office space of however many congressional people there would be afterwards. That might be something that's difficult or, impractical. But otherwise, I mean, it's the right thing for political power in general. So I don't know anything beyond that that's an actual opposition to it.
I mean, it's not like it's without precedent. I mean, before the current system, the House was designed to grow with each census.
Plus, the current administration is building ballrooms, so I'm sure adding an addition to the Chamber of Congress couldn't be the craziest thing in the world. But again, that's all hearsay. It's speculation. That's a bridge we'll cross when we get there. So I suppose I can make it easy. I could ask if there's a motion to endorse, or I can ask if there's any objection to me simply posting an endorsement. I don't want to endorse on behalf of the party. However, if you guys don't feel the need to endorse it as the board, I can still go forward with it. If you're saying you're not endorsing because you don't think we should endorse it, that's different. But what are you guys thinking? Drew, go ahead.
I think this is one of those things that we need to add alongside of a whole tool of real reforms that the United States needs. Some constitutional reform, some just law reform to reform the entire machine of federal government. Because right now, in my opinion, everything checks and balances wise is failing us. The Titanic went down because it wasn't supposed to go down because there were so many separate compartments, right? Well, the Constitution had so many separate compartments too, and those have all failed, and we're going down like the Titanic right now. So, I think we should probably, if we take up some of these ideas and really latch onto them and kind of maybe see if we can put together just a comprehensive what we want to see as reforms to bring back checks and balances and more power to the people, because that's where it's supposed to be.
You know what, Drew? When you said it, it almost I almost hate to make the comparison, but we almost need, and I think I'm basing this because I saw a comment in the Discord that kind of insinuated the same thing. We almost need a pirate Project 2025. Not, obviously these guys are evil. I don't mean like let's be evil like them, but if we had just a list of like, hey, by this year, if we win, this is what we plan on doing. These are what we, would introduce at the state level at Congress. We would try to repeal this. We would try to do that. I think that would be a phenomenal thing to start building up towards, especially with 2028 around the corner. We could at least, if not the 2028 election, because I don't know what we're doing for the 2028 election, folks at home, I don't know what we're doing for the 2028 election yet. But moving forward, I think 100% that would be like a very good thing to focus on. And uncapping that, if we endorse uncapping the House now, we can still include uncapping the House on an official capacity in, like, Pirate Plan 2036 or whatever we end up with.
I wouldn't put a date on it, but
I mean, what you're getting at basically is a manifesto in like the British sense, like where the parties put out like a manifesto before the elections talking about what they want to do, what they plan to do, et cetera, et cetera.
I would say so. Maybe, I don't think we'd be able to whip up something that we're ready to rock with in 3 months. However, maybe by the conference we can start having these discussions on some of the things that we'd want to, talk about, or maybe really start fleshing out at the conference. Uh, but this is something I'd absolutely love to start working on, because I think it is kind of like a manifesto. It is kind of like, again, kind of like the Project 2025. We're putting something out that says, hey, if you guys support us, if you guys vote for us, these are some of the things you can expect we will do in office. And, there are certain things that I think would be easier, like simply introducing the uncapping the House. I remember Vermin Supreme asked us, about our platform policy, or about copyright, and said, "Well, you guys advocate for 14, but you guys joined this convention and they advocate for 50." Well, right now the states are at 70. So, as part of the manifesto or as part of the project, whatever, you can say we will get it down to the standard before perhaps aiming to leave altogether. Because we've left more uh, consequential committees and conventions before. I don't think the one that designates copyright limitations is the most consequential. Uh, that said, uh, this is definitely something I would love to work on. And so I ask then, is that something that interests the rest of you? Is that something that you would like to see us begin working on? Frank, go ahead.
I move that we endorse the no cap movement, and as a committee at the very least.
second.
Thank you. So the endorsement on the table with the second to endorse Project No Cap. So that would be as simple as, me posting, not only would I mention in case you missed it tomorrow, but I would probably have a separate post endorsing Project No Cap, thanking Mr. Beast or Mr. Beats for launching the project. And maybe if I could, I'll invite Mr. Beat on to talk the plank and see if he wants to join us and go into why he even came up with the idea to begin with. I don't think he'll do it, but it'd be cool. It's worth a shot. So that said, I can call. Is there any objections to the motion on the table? I'm seeing none and I'm hearing none. So we will call that endorsed. The motion passes. The United States Pirate Party, via the Pirate National Committee vote, has voted to endorse Project No Cap, Mr. Beats' movements to uncap the House of Representatives. I'll have a post on it tomorrow. It'll be in case you missed it, and we will work on it. Drew then Wanda.
One other reform that I have seen recently being pushed, and I honestly don't remember the group that's pushing it, is the group that is pushing states to change their corporate laws and basically end the Citizens United money in politics, the corporate donations, corporate dark money. apparently the way that it's all written, the every corporation is governed. The corporations are governed by the states that they're incorporated in. And if the states make it illegal for corporations to give political donations, or maybe they cap political donations, it is a way around the Citizens United without getting the federal government involved. And that is something that can be pushed at the state level. Well, it has to be pushed at the state level, but I think is also a reform that is I think well deserved. I think it's one way that we can something we can sort of try to claw back, and one state at a time kind of thing. The way a lot of the marijuana legalization was done, and it's still going on as we have a fight here in Pennsylvania right now. But yeah, I think a state by state approach for something like that can be effective. I'm going to look and see if I can find the organization to bring it to the group. But I think that's another one of those things that I think we can put into this list of reforms that we'd like to see that can really bring back democracy and not just the corporate machine.
100%. And Drew, tell me if I'm wrong, but I came up with the Center for American Progress, and the corporate power reset, if that is what you were referring
That
to.
may be it. I've seen a couple of different places, and I honestly don't remember who was the main group, but Center for American Progress is their general progressive group. They're usually pretty decent, and most of their stuff is pretty decent that they propose. So I mean, we can start by looking at what they've got.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, I think this is a great idea, no matter where it came from or who it comes from. And the only reason I say that is I'm looking at the Center of American Progress Board of Directors, and some of the people on that list include Anthony Blinken, Julian Castro, John Podesta, and other high-ranking Democratic higher ups. And the only reason I bring that up is sometimes, and because we just talked about the corporate Democrats, sometimes you see slime in slimy places, and sometimes you see slime where you think things are clean. However, sometimes you agree with slime. Sometimes you're like, hey, well, slime might have a point. And I think that this is just one of those times where sometimes they may be what's the word I'm looking for? Spineless, but I don't think they're entirely clueless. I think they know that it's a good cause.
They're not devoid of ideas.
Yes.
And we don't believe in intellectual property, so we can steal those ideas and not deal with the slime.
100%. I agree. Thank you, Drew. Well put. Wanda, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I do like the idea of us having a party manifesto in the future and more comprehensive platform points. It's kind of like what I brought up, I think, last meeting. And so that's something I think we should discuss further here soon.
Absolutely. We've made it 20 years in this party without I guess if you call No Safe Harbor a proper manifesto, but No Safe Harbor is more so a collection of essays that was meant to kind of explain what the foundational beliefs of the Pirate Party is, with the spying and the overreach and the who's its and the what's its. But I think we've never actually put out a give us power, this is what we would do with it. We've never had that put out for the people. And, we may have a platform where we stand on what we believe in, and that's great. And maybe it takes 20 years to establish that kind of identity and that kind of purpose. But we should, as a party, start saying, this is what we, as a party, are looking to achieve. and what candidates looking to run for this party we would hope are also looking to, accomplish. If you have a candidate, if we just endorsed Project No Cap, if we had it in the Pirate Project, whatever we end up doing, and we have Drew, you're muted.
Project Pirate.
Project Pirate. Hell yeah. So if Project Pirate ends up with a candidate who, oh yeah, I'm all for the Pirate Party, but I don't know if I'm about that no cap business. It's like, well, we put that in the manifesto. We endorse that as a party. It's like you can't. I feel like if you're signing on and then picking and choosing certain things, it becomes a little. At the bare minimum, you could say like if you're running for office as a pirate, we've established that like these are the things that we hope our candidates we're hoping to see out of our we plan on getting these things done. If you're looking at some of those things and you're saying, well, I'm not doing that, uh, then what are you running on? What is it that I actually hope the House of Representative gets smaller? Like it seems, you know it's a good means test for candidates. Do you really want to run for office? Here's our agenda. Here's our manifesto. Is this still something? Is this a party you want to be a part of? Bring your own. By all means, let me be clear. I do not expect everyone to be a uniform pirate candidate. Bring your own flavor. Variety is the spice of life. But understand that if you're deviating from like the pirate party manifesto and what we're trying to accomplish as a party, just run as an independent if you're just trying to do your own thing. But we ourselves, we think you can do our own thing, but do it as a pirate. And I don't think being a pirate is so much as a label as much as it is someone who fights for their neighbors and for a free and open society and doesn't believe in government overreach or corporate overreach and wants you to live as free and open as possible. And if you check those boxes, you're a pirate to me. But again, that is that. We have endorsed Project No Cap. We're locked and loaded on that one. Uh we can begin. I know we started later, so I'm a little warped on my time looking at how much time has passed. But we could briefly discuss, is there any theme for the conference that was really like sticking out for you guys that you're just like, oh my god, I have to suggest this theme for the 20-year conference?
Stop sinking ships.
Stop sinking ships. It's not a bad one. I like that one. I know the thing Blaze mentioned is it's going to be in Boston, and it almost feels like how can you not include like a fight against tyranny in including Boston, uh, which is a good point. I don't know if like I feel like at least 10-15 years ago, conservatives had a pretty good grasp on like any imagery from the revolution. Uh, but we are going to be at Boston Harbor for the. I don't think I really want to do any like Boston Tea Party stuff, but like it is just something to think about that we have the whole era of Boston's revolutionary spirit to work with. And that's just food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Blaze's take there. Like with the way things are right now, and with the conference being in Boston, I feel like it would be a huge missed opportunity to not play into that kind of imagery.
Yeah, no, I can't help but agree. Just it to me it then becomes like, what is the specific, you know? Again, I don't know. I guess we're workshopping it now. Is there anything like? Is there any specific imagery from the revolution that stands out that you'd be like, well, if we don't use that, we're crazy? Besides the obvious being Boston and everything Boston has to offer, you know, is there like something, is there a way to incorporate the idea of Minutemen or Paul Revere? Like, is there anything like that tickled your fancy? Are there any pirates from the revolution I'm not thinking of? I know Samuel Mason fought in the Revolutionary War, but I haven't done my rehabilitation project on him, so I don't feel comfortable doing that just yet.
I mean, wasn't John Paul Jones basically a pirate?
The father of the American Navy. Was he? Was he basically a pirate? Did he defect to Russia once it was? It says here his allegiance was to the United States until '87. Then he joined Russian Empire.
Well, I think he was like Scottish. I don't think he was like from the colonies.
No, yeah, he was. Listen, I'm getting into things completely beside the point right now. That being said, yeah, I guess John Paul Jones wouldn't be a bad one either. It's just one of those things. I think Massachusetts revolutionary history is something worth bringing up, and anyone from that history is fair game. Uh, I would just like to have a good, memorable theme because it's 20 years. We've already had Piratey McPirate Face, and I'll be honest with you, the other ones were like Pirates Reborn. Steal This Conference was kind of clever. Run for Something was just pretty standard, and again, I think that one was just kind of picked by the host city. So let's take it back in our own hands and decide what we want. So
Standing Up to Tyrants.
Standing Up to Tyrants.
I mean, if we're just going on Massachusetts in general, something about like witch hunting. I don't know, because that was also
That's
Massachusetts.
no. That
No,
no.
I don't fucking know. I'm
Witch hunting.
yeah, I'm throwing things out there. Well, parking my car. There we go.
Nothing is striking me right at the moment, but I will.
And neither am I. And like I said,
Okay.
I'm walking into this meeting with a little less energy than I normally would. So I'm not. The creative juices aren't flowing like they should be. So this might be. I hate to even conceptualize the idea of tabling this, but for the sake of time, I guess I don't know if we're gonna come up with a theme right here tonight unless someone says something that everyone goes, "Oh my god, that's brilliant."
Sorry, I didn't have my headphones on, and all I heard was, "Oh my god, that's brilliant." What did I miss?
Mars came up with an idea just now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mars, go ahead. Damn, I really thought that might work.
I don't have ideas. My brain will go blank if you actually ask me for something.
I mean, I feel like I feel like there's kind of something there with standing up to tyranny.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I don't like it either. I'm saying I don't hate it. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, standing up to tyranny is like one of those.
20 years of standing up to tyranny.
Not bad, not bad at all. I am also just gonna put out there, and maybe it is again just a me being me. But John Quincy Adams is obviously from the area, and I've already made a whole article about how he's the most pirate president we've ever had. So I'm not saying that that needs to be the inclusion factor. I'm just saying that that is a statement I'm making out loud. I not that we should base an entire thing around John Quincy Adams, but he is
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I don't think we should base around a single person, but more so
No,
around
no.
ideas.
I just think that he's got that je ne sais quoi that I'm just trying to figure out for the party for the conference is all. But again, I don't want to linger on nothing for too long. Is there because all right, so really if there's nothing we're gonna come up with tonight, I'll accept tabling on the condition that we come up with something in 2 weeks. And also, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
That motion is going to be conditional on the tabling with priority in 2 weeks. Is that okay? I'm making
Motion
up
to
rules as I
table.
go.
Sounds
Yeah,
good to
sure.
me.
Thank you. All right, I'll accept. I heard motions and seconds for tabling and adjourning. Are there any
Wrong
objections?
order, but they were both there.
They were both there. Yes, it was. One happened before the other. However, I will hear them both at the same time, as both can be knocked out at the same time. So, folks, is there any objection to not only tabling this and making it the priority business item in 2 weeks, but is there also no objection to adjourning tonight's meeting? You're too late. Folks, I call this meeting over at 10:27 Eastern. That is 9:27 best time zone. So thank you all so much for attending tonight's meeting. We will be back in 2 weeks to put a bow on top of whatever we end up calling the conference. I hope it's funny. Drew, do you know why I love this party? Let me tell you why I love this party. I love this party, the United States Pirate Party, because we believe the United States should be a good neighbor. We believe in cool, clean water, like Hank said. And we believe that if purchasing isn't ownership, well, then piracy isn't theft. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending tonight's meeting. We will be back in 2 weeks, like I said. Vote pirate, and victory is ours. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great rest of your night.